In a jungle so green with flowers so bright lived a lion named Leo, with all of his might. His roar was the loudest, his mane was the best, and he told all the animals, "I'm king, I've passed the test." He walked with a swagger, a proud, happy stride, with his tail held up high and a great deal of pride. The monkeys would chatter when Leo came near, and the snakes in the grass would all disappear. Leo loved being king. Yes, he loved it a lot, in his sunny and wonderful jungle spot. He made up the rules for the big and the small, and he thought his own rules were the best ones of all. The sun in the jungle was hot, 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 and the watering hole was the favorite spot. All the animals gathered to get a cool drink, to splash in the water and sit on the brink. But Leo the lion had made a new law, a rule that he thought had not one single flaw. "The king always drinks first," his mighty roar said. "No one takes a sip till the king has been fed." So every day Leo would stroll to the pool and he'd drink for a long time, which wasn't very cool. The other animals waited, feeling the heat from the giraffe so tall to the mouse with small feet. This new rule was a problem, a worry, a fright, especially for creatures who weren't big in height. The rabbit family, with their soft, twitching noses, found the ground getting muddy where Leo put his poses. Rosie the rabbit, the cleverest one, watched her little bunnies. Their fun was all done. They couldn't reach the water, so far and so deep, while the big lion drank and the others did weep. The mud was too sticky, the bank was too high, and the poor little rabbits were ever so dry. They looked at the water with sad, thirsty eyes, under the big, hot, and bright jungle skies. Gigi the giraffe, with her neck long and grand, could still reach the water across the wet land. But she felt very sorry for friends on the ground, who couldn't get a drink with the big king around. "Oh dear," she would whisper to Hoot, the wise owl, "King Leo's new rule is making them scowl." Hoot would just blink with his big, yellow eyes from his home in the branches up high in the skies. The jungle was happy, but something felt wrong. The song of the birds wasn't a very strong song. The fairness was gone, the kindness was lost, and being so thirsty was a terrible cost. One sunny morning, the air thick and warm, Rosie the rabbit decided to perform. She would speak to the king. She had to be brave, for the sake of the water her family did crave. She hopped to the front of the waiting long line, her heart beating fast, but her plan was divine. She would be very polite, she would be very sweet, as she stood right in front of the big lion's feet. Her children watched her, their whiskers all a-twitch, from a safe grassy spot, right beside a small ditch. They knew their mother was clever and true, and they hoped she could make the king think his rule through. Leo finished his drink with a satisfied sigh, and he wiped his wet chin as a bird fluttered by. He turned to leave, feeling grand and complete, when he saw the small rabbit right there at his feet. "Your Majesty, King," Rosie said with a bow, her voice just a squeak, but she said it right now. "May I ask you a question, if you have the time? It's about your new rule, which feels like a crime." Leo looked down, quite surprised to be stopped by a brave little rabbit who hopped and then hopped. He was not used to questions, he was used to commands, from all of the creatures in these jungle lands. "A question?" Leo rumbled, his voice low and deep. "What is it, small rabbit, while the others all sleep?" Rosie looked up, her soft eyes open wide, with all of her courage bubbling inside. "The watering hole is for everyone here," she explained with a nod, trying to be clear. "But when you drink first for so long and so deep, you make the banks muddy and ever so steep." She pointed her paw to the slippery mud where a small beetle struggled right after a flood. "The little ones can't reach, they are thirsty and sad, it makes being small feel awfully bad." Leo the lion just frowned and he huffed, his magnificent mane looking suddenly puffed. "I am the king," was his only reply, "the strongest and biggest beneath the blue sky. The king always comes first, that is how it should be. Now that is the end of it, don't question me." He turned with a flick of his tail and his ear, and he made it quite plain he did not want to hear. Rosie felt sad, her brave plan had not worked, as Leo the lion just grumbled and shirked. She hopped back to her family, feeling quite low, watching the sunbeams all shimmer and glow. The very next morning, a big change was there, a strange, dusty silence hung in the air. The animals went to the watering hole's edge, from the green, grassy meadow and rocky stone ledge, but the water was gone. It had vanished away. Where did it go on this hot, sunny day? A great herd of elephants traveling through had stopped in the night for a drink, maybe two. They drank every drop from the bottom to top, and they didn't even think for a moment to stop. Now the pool was just mud, cracked and drying so fast. A memory of water, a thing of the past. A panic then started, a worry, a fear, as every animal shed a sad tear. "The water is gone!" cried the monkeys so loud. "What will we do?" called the feathery crowd. Leo the lion came down to the spot, his throat feeling dusty, his head feeling hot. He saw the dry mud and he stared in despair at the empty, sad hole that was no longer there. For the first time he felt a real powerful thirst, a feeling so awful he thought he would burst. He was just like the others, he needed a drink, and it gave the proud lion a moment to think. "We must find more water," Hoot the owl wisely cried. "We cannot just stand here with our mouths open wide." So the animals started a journey, a quest, putting their teamwork right to the test. Leo walked with them, no longer in front, no longer performing a big royal stunt. He walked with the rabbits, the mice and the deer, his paws getting dusty, his heart filled with fear. He saw Rosie's bunnies, their ears drooping low, and he watched Gigi the giraffe walking so slow. The sun beat down harder, the thirst grew and grew for everyone there, including him too. As they walked and they walked, Leo started to see how hard it must be when you're little, like three little bunnies, so thirsty and frail, walking along the long, dusty trail. He remembered Rosie's words by the pool, about his unfair and his terrible rule. He had made them wait, he had made them feel small, and he hadn't been thinking of them all. Now he felt the same thirst, the same hot, dry ache, and he knew in his heart he had made a mistake. Being a king wasn't just about might, it was about making sure everyone was all right. After walking for miles, through the dust and the heat, they heard a small trickle, a sound oh so sweet. They followed the noise past a big rocky mound, and a brand new spring of fresh water they found. It bubbled and gurgled, so clear and so cool, a beautiful, wonderful, life-giving pool. The animals cheered, a happy, loud sound as they gathered so eagerly all the way round. But before anyone took a sip from the brink, they all stopped and waited and started to think. They all looked at Leo, the king strong and grand, the most powerful creature in all of the land. But Leo didn't move. He just stood there instead, with a new kind of feeling inside of his head. He looked at Rosie and her family so small, and he knew he had to say something to all. "My friends," he began, his voice soft and low, "I have something important I want you to know." He looked at the bunnies, the mice, and the birds, and he searched in his heart for the right kind of words. "I was wrong," he said clearly, for everyone to hear. "I was selfish and proud, and that is now clear. A real king doesn't put himself first in the line. A real king makes sure that everyone's fine." He then turned to Rosie and gave her a nod, on the dry, dusty patch of the jungle's green sod. "Please," Leo said with a sweep of his paw, "you and the little ones, drink first, it's the law. A new law of fairness, a new law of care, where every last drop is something we share." Rosie smiled brightly, her heart filled with glee, for the king had now learned what a leader should be. The small animals drank, their thirst went away, and the jungle felt happy and bright on that day. Then Gigi drank, and Hoot, and the rest, putting the new jungle rule to the test. From that day forward, the jungle was changed, the rules of the watering hole were rearranged. Leo was still king, but a new kind of one, a king who was thoughtful, and caring, and fun. He listened to Hoot's wise and clever advice, and he always made sure to be helpful and nice. The jungle was happier, a true paradise, where being together was the greatest prize. The animals played and they laughed and they sang, and a feeling of friendship through the whole jungle rang. For they had a good king, a friend, and a guide, who ruled with his heart and a great deal of pride.